When I make really tall cakes, I like to triple dowel them for stability, and in this video I'm going to show you what I do. Now to start, I always wash my hands. My hands are always clean whenever I handle my cakes. I get the bottom tier out of the refrigerator, and then I'm going to use my little sewing ruler and push that little blue nubbin down at the top to measure how tall my straws need to be. And I have an Amazon store that has all of my favorite cake decorating tools, and my link tree is in my bio. Then I put the straw on top of the ruler and take a little Sharpie marker and mark how long those straws should be. And then I'm taking my scissors and carefully cutting right below that marker line, and I'm throwing that piece away that has the marker on it. I like to put all of those straws evenly spaced out in the bottom tier, and then I'm going to take my level and just make sure that it is level, spread down some buttercream. And then I got the next tier out of the refrigerator. That cardboard circle that tier is resting on will sit atop of those straws on the bottom and prevent the cake from collapsing. Then I'm going to take my level, make sure that the cake is level, and then I sharpen that wooden dowel in a pencil sharpener only used for dowels. I put the dowel all the way down to the countertop through the cake board, and I'm taking my snips a little bit lower than the height of the cake, and I'm cutting this wooden dowel. So that dowel is going to be just a little bit shorter. I'm putting it just off to the left of center and pushing that down, and where it stops is where it's hitting that cardboard circle. And then I'm going to countersink this all the way through the cakes down into the cake drum. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So the next tier, I am taking my little sewing ruler, push that blue little nubbin down to measure how tall these straws have to be, put the straws on the ruler and mark them with the little Sharpie marker, take my scissors and cut that piece off and toss that piece away. And then I want to make sure that I don't put the straws where these dowels are going to be. That one's going to be a little off to the right, so I need to stagger the straws so I don't put the dowel through the straws. So I'm just placing all of these straws in this tier. And I do have a tutorial, a stacking tutorial, where I go into complete detail on how I stack cakes, and that is on my channel. And then again, I'm going to take my level and make sure that the cake is level, and get some buttercream down again. And then I got the third tier out of the refrigerator. That icing is cold and solid, so I'm not going to mess it up as I handle it. And once I put that on there, I just want to make sure that it is level. And I sharpen the dowel again in that pencil sharpener only used for dowels. And again, I'm putting the point of that dowel all the way down onto the countertop and taking my snips a little lower than the height of that tier and cutting that to size. And the other one is a little off to the left, so this one I'm doing a little off to the right. So I'm pushing that down and I'm going to hammer that all the way into the cakes down through the cake drum. And I am repeating the process, getting my sewing ruler, pushing down the blue section to see how long I need to cut the straws, putting the straws in that tier, and then getting some buttercream icing down. And then I got that last tier out of the refrigerator. So remember that cake is cold and hard, and I make sure that it's level. Now this one is covered in fondant, so I'm taking a little piping tip and I'm just cutting a small hole in the top. And then I have another sharpened dowel, and again I put it down to the countertop, take my snips a little lower than the height of that cake, and then I'm going to cut this to size, and I'm putting it through that little hole that I created, hammer it through all of the cakes, and then I'm going to countersink it down through the cake drum. And I need to patch the hole. This is a fondant cake. If this was just buttercream, I would just easily patch it with buttercream, but I need to do it a little bit differently, and I just wanted to show you real quick. So I am filling that hole with some buttercream icing. Make sure all of the excess icing is removed, and then I cut a little circle out of fondant and I'm putting that on top, and I'm using my ball tool to blend this into the top of the cake so there's no seam. So I'm just kind of dragging it and blending it in. And then once I have that blended in there, I'm just going to paint the rest of it gold so it matches the rest of the cake. And here is how I have it doweled. So the bottom two tiers are doweled off to the left. The bottom three tiers are doweled off to the right, and the entire cake is doweled down through the middle. I like to do it this way because on a long delivery, it just keeps the cake a little bit more stable. I do let them know at the venue that it is triple doweled just so they know when they cut it and serve it. And luckily, the cake arrived safely after the 1 hour delivery. Here is the final design of that cake, and make sure you follow or subscribe for more cake decorating tips.